Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the New York State Interagency Winter Assistance Workshops. My name is Alex Carmen. I am a Deputy Director of the Office of Consumer Services within the Department of Public Service, and I will be your Master of Ceremony for today's event. We have 6 presentations today from New York State agencies who each offer programs to help New York consumers manage their bills, become more energy efficient, and stay safe this winter. The goal of today's workshop is to provide you with a one-stop shop for information, materials, and resources that can help you and your constituents during this winter season. Please note that this session is being recorded. The WebEx recording and copies of the presentation slides will be made available on the agency's website soon. We have a lot of information to share with you today, but before we begin, I will make some brief introductions and then turn the event over to each agency for their presentation. Today's panel includes staff from the Division of Housing and Community Renewal, or HCR, the New York Power Authority, or NYPA, the New York State Energy Research and Development Authority, or NYSERDA, the State Office for the Aging, or SOFA, the Department of Public Service, or DPS, and last but not least, the Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance, or OTDA. Following the panels, we'll have a question and answer session. We'll be answering questions after all the agencies have given their presentations. However, the question and answer box will be available throughout the workshop if you wish to type in a question as the session is going on. We will ask that you tag the appropriate agency that should answer the question. I will read out the written questions during the Q&A session first, and then if there are any additional questions, you can raise your hand and you'll be called on during the Q&A session. All right, I will now hand the microphone over to our first speaker today. Kim Lawrence from Housing and Community Renewal is here to discuss winter weatherization programs. Kim, please begin.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Kim Lawrence, and I'm going to discuss the Weatherization Assistance Program, which is ran out of Homes and Community Renewal. Next slide, please. Weatherization basics. WAP's goal is to create greener, healthier, safer housing for income-eligible households across New York State. WAP assists all residential building types that are owner or renter occupied, and HCR follows rigorous quality control practices to ensure that all work is completed to the Department of Energy's standard work specifications. Each completed building is inspected by a certified quality control inspector, and health and safety is a major component of the work that we do. WAP is federally funded by the U.S. Department of Energy and Health and Human Services. And we follow income eligibility using the HEAP annual guidelines. Next slide, please. Weatherization funding. WAP has approximately $67.7 million in funds for the 2022-23 program year. Our network of providers is projected to complete roughly 8,000 units with this funding. The average cost per unit is around $8,000, and WAP is also ramping up to spend an additional $289 million in bipartisan infrastructure dollars over the course of the next several years. Next slide. Program structure. So the HCR WAP has a network of nonprofit partners throughout the state that provide the program to income-eligible households. Priority is given to seniors, persons with disabilities, families with children, and households with a high energy burden, which means that greater than 6% of the income goes towards energy bills. WAP assists owners and renters alike, and our multifamily building owners who are not income eligible are expected to contribute to the project cost. The time from application to completion varies greatly and depends on factors such as the size of an agency's waitlist and the work scope of the project. Next slide, please. So weatherization measures. Typical weatherization measures would include repairing or replacing the heating system, air sealing, insulation, electric baseboard reduction, health and safety work, incidental repairs that are needed to complete the energy measures. The work scope is determined by an energy audit. Each energy savings measure must be cost effective in order for our providers to do the work. Next slide, please. Standards and protocols for the program. HCR maintains a policy and procedure manual that we keep updated regularly for our network. Our agencies also follow the Department of Energy standard work specifications, and HCR maintains a weatherization field guide. HCR has quality control inspectors on staff, and our network of WAP providers also have QCIs, quality control inspectors on staff, and they are required to have each unit inspected. We also follow other state and federal requirements, such as formal bidding requirements and historical review of houses, and working with minority and women-owned businesses. Next slide. Renewable and other innovative measures. So the Weatherization Program has received American Rescue Plan Act funding in the amount of $34 million. This money will go towards providing enhanced energy savings measures, furthering the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act's electrification goals. It will also provide additional funding for health and safety measures that are needed in our homes. And one of our WAP providers has successfully applied for the Sustainable Energy Resources for Consumers grant in the amount of $500,000. And this grant will go towards providing solar thermal domestic hot water to roughly 70 units participating in this program. Next slide. Yeah, so maintaining the whole house approach. This is the main philosophy of the work that is done through weatherization. Weatherization works because it addresses the whole building. Energy audits are done by trained staff who will create a work scope to address the particular needs of each home in the program. HCR facilitates coordination with other programs to maximize energy savings and address health and safety and structural concerns in the homes that we work on. WAP is always looking to leverage other funding sources to complete bigger work scopes. Next slide, please. Healthy homes and weatherization. We have trained WAP staff who work lead safe to minimize risks during installation of energy efficiency measures. Our staff identify and, where possible, correct mold, moisture, and other asthma triggers. And we also address indoor air quality issues such as carbon monoxide, and look for ways to improve the ventilation in the homes. Next slide. So one of the benefits of having weatherization work done is that for every dollar spent, we estimate about $250 is saved in the buildings for energy costs. Next slide. Increased accountability and work quality. HCR maintains a policy and procedure manual. We have extensive quality control initiatives in place, such as following quality work plans, following DOE's standard work specifications. Our staff have ongoing training and required certifications every 3 years. As a state agency, we provide extensive oversight to our network of WAP providers. We have field reps that go out to each of our providers on a routine basis to make sure that they are in compliance with the quality of work that they do. Next slide. So that's the end of the presentation, and this is my contact information. If anybody has any questions or would like to reach out, my name is Kim Lawrence again, and I work in the WAP unit of HCR. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Next up, we have Amy Liang from the New York Power Authority to discuss environmental justice, energy education, and weatherization. Amy, please begin.
Hi everyone, my name is Amy Liang, and as introduced, I am the Environmental Justice Program Coordinator at the New York Power Authority. Next slide, please. So NYPA is the largest state public power utility. We operate 16 generating facilities, and more than 80% of the electricity that we produce is actually from clean, renewable hydropower. And our mission is to really lead the economic development of New York State through these projects. Next slide, please. Our environmental justice program is driven by our commitment to always be a good neighbor to the historically disadvantaged communities that are located near our statewide facilities. NYPA leverages its expertise to provide no-cost programs and services that meet the unique needs of our communities. So here at EJ, we operate under 4 main pillars as seen on the screen. So that is STEM education, adult energy literacy, community outreach and advocacy, as well as energy efficiency projects. Next slide, please. So within our adult energy literacy programs, we offer these energy education and weatherization workshops. Next slide. We travel across the state to teach easy, low to no cost ways for participants to conserve energy as well as lower their utility bills while improving the comfort in their homes. These workshops feature interactive hands-on learning. They last about an hour to an hour and a half, as well as we make sure to provide food and address any barriers that may deter participants from being able to join the workshop. And then at the end of the workshop, we also provide a free weatherization kit with a step-by-step installation manual that covers everything that we talk about during the workshop. Next slide. So here is just an example of some of the things that participants receive. Everything, again, will be discussed during the workshop, and so the participants will be able to have a good idea and feel empowered to be able to do these in their homes, at their parents, or wherever they see fit. Next slide. So these workshops help support community energy literacy. They help alleviate the high energy burden that oftentimes low or moderate income families face. We offer simple and renter-friendly demonstrations as well that don't require any power tools, as well as they're free for your organization and participants. We also provide the teaching materials in any translated language as needed. So we have a Spanish educator that can host the workshops in Spanish. And then for the other languages, we can certainly provide the materials in a translated language, but we just ask that the stakeholder that we work with to provide a translator during the workshop. Next slide. And so here are some of the main workshop topics that we cover. So everything involving heating and cooling, and something that we like to highlight during the summertime is how to, again, the cooling aspect that sometimes people may not be familiar with. So again, this includes hands-on activities, so how to properly install window film, door sweeps, weather stripping. This really helps engage the community members and get them, on their, get them, off their seats and participating in this hands-on. We also cover water conservation, appliances, lighting, and any other behavioral things that folks can do to really increase the comfort in their homes. Next slide, please. And then in terms of the goals, we just, again, this is a purely educational workshop. So We make sure to, not promote any programming or anything, but we do connect folks with resources. So we help them identify the biggest energy users in their homes. We answer any questions, and oftentimes participants come in with very specific energy concerns. And then we help them identify the actions that they can take and develop an action plan. So here is a list of some of the stakeholders that we've worked with. Of course, we're happy to work with other groups that are not on this list, and we will work with you to address any barriers. So for example, we've worked with refugee centers in Utica and Albany, where we've provided translations for all the materials, and then they were able to provide translators so that the participants can follow along and better understand the material. I also want to note that we host these workshops in designated environmental justice and underserved communities that are located near our assets. So we follow certain DEC mapping tools to gauge kind of our scope of work. So if you're interested in working with us, feel free to contact us, and we'll just verify that your organization falls within our target area. Next slide. So how to partner with us to host a workshop? It's really simple. Just reach out to us at environmental.justice@nipa.gov, and then we'll work with you to coordinate the best date, time, and location for your constituents. We'll, spread a flyer around, collect registrations, and then we only ask that you provide support as needed during the event. I also want to emphasize step number 4, that we really work with the stakeholder to we make sure that the stakeholder or the organization will take the lead on signing up folks for the event, because again, we don't take any sign up or contact information, and the organization knows their participants best. Next slide. All right, that is all. Here is our contact information. You can feel free to reach out to me or Matt Caruso, who is not able to attend today. And then also we have the general environmental justice email here on the screen. So thank you, and feel free to reach out with any questions.
Thank you, Amy. Next up, we have Eric Gilbert and Jessica Ortiz from the New York State Energy Research and Development Authority to discuss the Empower New York and Assisted Home Performance Programs, as well as the agency's regional clean energy hubs. Eric and Jessica, go ahead.
Thanks, Alex. Can we hop to the next slide, please? Good afternoon. Thank you for having me here. NYSERDA is pleased to be asked to present as part of this winter workshop series. My name is Eric Gilbert. I am a project manager with NYSERDA's single-family residential team. And today I will be providing you with an overview of NYSERDA's 1 to 4 family low to moderate income programs, Assisted Home Performance with Energy Star, and Empower New York. Empower New York is the low income component and serves households earning less than 60% of the state median income. And Assisted Home Performance is the moderate income component, and that serves households earning less than 80% of the area median income, but more than 60% of the state median income. The intake for both programs is through the combined residential application, and that's found here on NYSERDA's website. Next slide, please. So who is eligible for NYSERDA's low to moderate income programs? In addition to the income criteria I just covered, the programs are open to both owners and renters of 1 to 4 family existing homes. While renters can apply and receive limited services, it's recommended to get landlord approval so the entire unit or building can be served with comprehensive measures. To be eligible for program incentives, the household must pay into the system's benefit charge, which is any electric customer of one of the major investor-owned utilities listed here. There is limited funding for municipal customers, and projects are considered on a case-by-case basis. NYSERDA does have a variety of different funding pools, including the Clean Energy Fund, utility funds through New Efficiency New York, funds from the Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance, and occasionally there will be funds from utility settlement cases and also through the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative. Next slide, please. So what are the income eligible households eligible for? For all low to moderate income customers, a no-cost energy audit is provided. In addition, the program provides for incentives covering up to 100% of the cost of energy efficiency measures, including lighting, insulation measures, including attic and wall insulation, and air sealing. Thermostats, replacement of inefficient freezers and refrigerators, and heating and hot water equipment with the prioritization of making homes heat pump ready. Next slide, please. So the incentive structure for the programs are as follows. For low-income households through Empower New York, eligible households are eligible for 100% of the cost of the measures, and that's capped at $10,000 for a single-family home. 2 to 4 family households are eligible for $10,000 for the first unit being served and up to $5,000 for each additional unit. And for certain funding sources, this cap may be increased. Through assisted home performance, households are eligible for 50% of the cost of the measures, and that's capped at $5,000 for a single family home and up to $10,000 for a 2 to 4 family home. For the remainder of the balance, households have access to low interest financing. In addition to NYSERDA incentives, households are encouraged to participate in utility rebate programs, the Weatherization Assistance Program, and other offerings to maximize their project incentives. Following the project, households can opt to have a quality assurance inspection performed for up to 1 year following the completion of work. Next slide, please. So I'll now briefly walk you through the project experience. As indicated earlier, the intake mechanism for both programs is through the completion of the combined residential application. Households can reach out to their regional clean energy hub who can assist with the process if needed. We will be providing additional information on the regional clean energy hubs following my program overview. Once a household is accepted for services, a program contractor will reach out to schedule the energy assessment. Again, this assessment is free of charge and will identify opportunities for energy improvements and will educate the customer on how their home uses energy. As part of the audit, contractors have the opportunity to install direct install measures, such as replacing inefficient lighting, swapping out furnace filters, and for low-income households, identifying inefficient refrigerators and freezers for replacement. Following the audit, the contractor can propose a work scope to NYSERDA for consideration. Next slide, please. So once the work scope has been submitted to NYSERDA, our program implementation contractor, ClearResult, will reach out and, will review the project, and if the project meets program requirements, an approval will be issued typically within 2 days. The contractor will be notified of the project approval, allowing them to move forward with scheduling and installing the work. Once the energy efficiency measures have been installed, the household will sign a certificate of completion, and the contractor will submit the project completion paperwork to the program for review, approval, and payments. As mentioned earlier, following project payment, a household can request a quality assurance inspection for up to 1 year following the completion of the work. Otherwise, program will randomly select around 15% of the projects completed annually for a quality assurance inspection. Next slide, please. All right, now I'm going to turn the presentation over to my colleague, Jessica Ortiz, for an update on NYSERDA's regional clean energy hubs. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric. So my name is Jessica Ortiz. I'm a senior project manager with NYSERDA's Energy and Climate Equity team. So the Regional Clean Energy Hubs was developed through a collaborative co-design process among statewide nonprofit and community organizations. This collaborative process led to the development of the hubs within each of the economic development regions in New York State. So there are 10 economic development regions, but there are 12 hubs because in New York City, there are 3 hubs due to the population density. And I just wanted to clarify that hubs are not a physical location. Hubs are a team of trusted, knowledgeable, community-based organizations in and from the regions they serve. The hubs have experience with clean energy, energy efficiency, workforce development, education, health, and housing. There's $52 million allocated to this initiative to fund the 12 hubs that I've mentioned over a 12-year program period. The initiative is funded through the Clean Energy Fund and the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative. Next slide. So through direct engagement, capacity building, and in collaboration with regional partners, the hubs will engage residents, affordable multifamily housing, and small businesses in disadvantaged communities or underrepresented communities, including rural areas. They'll also assist low to moderate income customers and customers considered market rate. The hubs will engage in a number of regional efforts to bring people into the clean energy conversation. I won't read all of the activities that they will participate in, but just wanted to highlight that they'll increase awareness of and access to clean energy solutions and opportunities, such as the programs Eric just spoke about. They'll also increase customer uptake of clean energy projects with support for accessing wraparound services and resources. And the hubs will also advance local capacity to engage with community members about clean energy policy, technologies, and opportunities. Next slide. The hubs will increase public participation in energy planning and program coordination activities. They'll also increase partners in the clean energy sphere, affordable housing providers, non-energy partners, third-party funding providers, philanthropic organizations that can result in scalable activities and projects. So we're really hoping that although we have a contractor list for the hubs, they'll expand their networks across their region to increase support for the work that they're doing. The hubs will also support career pathways for individuals currently residing in underrepresented communities or from priority populations through partnerships with training, education, and clean energy businesses for employment opportunities in the clean energy workforce. I next before we go to the next slide, we have a list on our NYSERDA program page for the regional clean energy hubs, who your specific regional clean energy hub is, and when we send out the presentation, that link will also be included in the presentation. So for the next slide, I'll pass it back to Eric. Or I can
Jessica,
just.
and this is
Oh,
this is just a list of our helpful links and contacts. Also, if you have any questions about the program, feel free to check these out. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Alex, for having us today.
Sure.
The New York State Office for the Aging is really happy to be here with our other agency partners, and we're very happy to present our information to all the participants that took the time to come today to this presentation. New York State Office for the Aging is a little bit different than the direct service providers of the energy and relief programs. So you can see we have a mission to help older New Yorkers be as independent as possible for as long as possible. We do it through advocacy, development, delivery-centered, consumer-oriented, and cost-effective policy programs and services that support and empower older adults and their family. And we do this in partnership with a very large network of private, public organizations that serve us and serve the constituents of New York State. We're doing it by promoting and administering programs and services for older adults, caregivers, and persons with disabilities. And we have a network, and this is really important. We work with 59 county-based area agencies on aging, and they contract with 1,200 different community agencies throughout New York State. We provide 20 core services. Within those 59 county-based area agencies on aging, there are 2 Indian nations and also the boroughs of New York City. Next slide, please. So a little bit about aging and combating ageism and stereotypes. We're talking about 4.6 million New Yorkers with 935 individuals that are 60 and over. They contribute a lot to the community with an economic value of 13.8 billion. 64% of our tax base, many do not have mortgage, and they're contributing directly to the local tax base. We have 4.1 million family caregivers. Average age is 64 that provide unpaid care to a loved one in their home. Individuals age 50 over account for most of the volunteering, philanthropy, entrepreneurs, and donation activities. And 80% of the New York State retirement system payouts stay right in New York State. Next slide, please. So this is a list of the community-based services that are provided by the network of aging professionals in the 59 area agencies on aging. And we receive information about people who need services. It could be from a discharge planner at a hospital that says, I have a patient that's going to be discharged, and I really think that this individual who's age 60 or over would benefit from home delivered meals. Or they're a caregiver for somebody who is aging in place in their home, and so a caregiver and the older adult would receive those meals. We have very many congregate meal sites throughout the state. We send in case managers directly into the home to do assessments on these individuals that are referred to programs. So we have eyes and ears, and we build relationships with the age 60 and over population so that they understand what the Department for Aging does. We provide all the programs that are listed here. We also have 777, I think, congregate meal sites throughout the state. We provide respite services for caregivers, legal services, all the information about the programs and services that are being talked about today, along with assistance and applications, filling out applications, educating the age 60 and over population, helping them to connect to the service, and helping them through that process, which many times might be overwhelming for the individual. We provide a lot of information through a call-in line, which is really it's called the ADRC, New York Connects. And we provide information and assistance, option counseling about all the benefits and application assistance of all these services that we're speaking about today that are listed here. Next slide, please. So I spoke about the county offices for the aging, the senior centers, the congregate meal sites. So many of the individuals get to know the Office for the Aging through a congregate meal site in their community. And that's a wonderful point of entry. We also have point of entry, like I said, through hospital discharge planners. We have neighbors that call and say, I think I have a neighbor who may need some assistance, family members that call. So this is how we help. We help by referring people to programs and assisting them to get there. And we provide the home delivered meal. So if you ever hear of Meals on Wheels, that is federal and state funding, and that is how those meals are funded and delivered to the individuals. Next slide, please. So I spoke a little bit about all of these the strength of our provider network and our single point of entry through New York Connects. And what's really important is that we're not an episodic type of intervention. Once we link with an individual in the community, we stay with them. And so they understand who we are, what we offer, and as their needs change, as they age, we continue to have that relationship with them. And so we're a very trusted member in the community that an older adult can come to. And so we're very happy to provide them with the services that they need. And we can see by going into the home whether or not they need weatherization, whether or not the home is warm, whether or not the person is doing well, or if they had a change in condition. So all of the things that we need to see firsthand is what's happening through the Aging Network. Next slide, please. This is a little bit about the connections that people can make if they want to learn a little bit more about the local area agencies on aging within their county. So the first web link is for finding where the local office for the aging is in your community. And one of the programs we offer is health information assistance and counseling program called our High Cap program, and that helps people to look at their Medicare programs and really try and figure out what is the best program for them. We have a long-term care ombudsman program, so that's for older adults or people with disabilities that are living in a facility and they need information and help with their to understand and exercise their rights. So that's next slide, please. That's the end. So yeah, if anything, the most important resource is going to New York Connects online, and we also have a statewide telephone line that will connect a caller to their local office for the aging so that they can have access to this network, and then we can provide the information and assistance for all these programs and services and help. I want to thank everybody for coming today.
Thank you, Judy. Excuse me. As a reminder, this recording and copies of the slides will be made available after the workshop. I will now turn it over to my colleagues Timothy Marsh, Jill Wasser, and Erin Odell Keller from the Department of Public Service to discuss energy affordability programs and consumer outreach. Tim, please take it away.
Thanks very much. Good afternoon. My name is Timothy Marsh with the Department of Public Service, and I'll be discussing the utility energy affordability programs. But first, a brief description of the Public Service Commission. The Public Service Commission regulates the state's electric, gas, steam, telecommunications, and water utilities and oversees the cable industry. Part of the Commission's mission is to ensure safe, secure, and reliable service at just and reasonable rates. Next slide, please. In 2016, the Public Service Commission, or PSC, established a statewide low-income bill discount program for major electric and gas investor-owned utilities. These discounts help customers move towards a 6% energy burden. All customers are automatically enrolled when participating in the Home Energy Assistance Program. However, there are other programs that will also enroll a customer in the Energy Assistance Program. There's also a reconnection fee waiver component. Next slide, please. When customers are enrolled in the affordability program, they are automatically enrolled in the utility's budget billing plan. But a customer may opt out by contacting their utility. In August of 2021, the Commission issued an order that made program improvements. The modified discount calculation better reflects actual customer data. Eligibility for the programs was expanded to create a uniform process and application to allow a customer to self-certify for program enrollment. Next slide, please. As discussed earlier, enrollment in the Energy Affordability Program occurs when customers are enrolled in various public assistance programs. For example, National Grid includes this list of qualifying programs. Note that qualifying programs may vary by utility, and DPS is working with staff and other stakeholders to develop a consistent statewide list. Next slide, please. If utility customers are not automatically enrolled in the EAP and are receiving benefits from a qualified program, contact the utility phone, email, or other service provided by the utility, such as a chat function. All utilities have outreach and education programs, which include various methods of dispensing low-income program information to customers. Next slide, please. Each major utility's website have information relating to low-income assistance programs. As we've said before, participants will be sent these slides for reference. Next slide, please. Recently, the Commission adopted the Utility Arrears Relief Program for major electric and gas utilities that provided low-income customers financial relief due to COVID-19. If a customer accrued arrears, oh, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong slide. The Department of Public Service overall COVID arrears reduction program for major electric and gas utilities had two parts. The Commission authorized the Phase 1 in June 2022. That addressed low-income customers. Phase 2 was recently approved by the PSC in January 2023. This portion allows non-low-income customers and small commercial customers to receive arrears relief. The one-time bill credit will be applied to customer accounts and varies according to utility. Eligible arrears are accrued up to May 1st, 2022, which is consistent with Phase 1. Additionally, non-EAP customers who were terminated can have their accounts reinstated by contacting their utility through June 30th, 2023 to receive their bill credit. Terminations for non-payment are suspended through March 1st, 2023, or 30 days after credit is provided, whichever is earlier. A key goal in the development of the program is to reduce customer balances and in turn make deferred payment agreements more affordable. I'll now pass the mic to Jill.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Tim, and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you again for joining us today. I am Jill Wasser. I'm a member of the Outreach and Education team at the Department of Public Service, Long Island. I'd like to take this opportunity to reintroduce our Department of Public Service Long Island office. This office was established in the LIPA Reform Act and is mainly responsible for the oversight of Long Island Power Authority and PSEG Long Island as its electric service operator. Our office is located in Plainview. For those of you familiar with Long Island, it's on the border of Nassau and Suffolk counties. But in addition, the Long Island office, we investigate complaints on behalf of all Long Island ratepayers, including electric, gas, water, and cable customers. I also want to emphasize that we offer the same consumer protections under the Home Energy Fair Practices Act, otherwise known as HEFPA, to PSEGLI customers as well as with the other investor-owned utilities. And we also have resources available for Long Island customers to help them manage the utility costs, particularly for this winter. So I encourage all to visit our new webpage, www.dps.ny.gov, DPS Long Island. Thank you, and I'll turn the microphone back over.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Erin Odell Keller, and I'm with the department's Outreach and Education section. As mentioned previously, the purpose of this workshop is to provide a one-stop shopping forum for information, materials, and resources that can help you and your constituents during the winter months. Similarly, at our department's website, we have a dedicated page for winter preparedness, which can be reached by using the short URL listed on the slide. The page has a lot of information you've heard about during this workshop, including ways to manage winter bills, financial assistance programs, consumer protections, and energy efficiency tips. The page has links to New York State and utility assistance programs, as well as copies of DPS's consumer publications in multiple languages. Materials can be downloaded and printed, or they can be ordered from the webpage. One note, the department's website was recently redesigned and launched this week. So we're finding a few items from the winter page that may be a little harder to find. So we're working on the website right now, but I just wanted to give you that little caveat. Lastly, DPS's outreach is available for presentations about our agency and winter management information. If you have a meeting or an event that your organization or community would like us to exhibit at or to give a presentation, please contact us at consumer.outreach@dps.ny.gov. Although DPS conducts outreach all year long about this next topic, consumer rights and protections, we reinforce this message during the winter months, which can be particularly hard for utility consumers, especially older adults and consumers with limited income. Customer protections are laid out in the Home Energy Fair Practices Act, or HEFPA, as Jill mentioned, but it's also known as the Utility Consumers Bill of Rights. HEFPA provides residential customers with comprehensive protections in areas relating to their energy service, such as billing, application for service, and procedures for filing a complaint about your utility service. HEFPA provides special protections against service termination when a customer has a medical emergency, life support equipment at the premises, or who is elderly, blind, or disabled. Of particular note for our winter campaign are the cold weather protections, which are in place from November 1st to April 15th each winter season. Under these protections, a utility must determine whether termination will result in serious impairment to health or safety. A utility cannot terminate service if a resident is likely to suffer a serious impairment to health or safety unless extra steps are taken to notify the Department of Social Services. I will now hand the microphone back over to Alex.
Thank you to Consumer Services staff. Last but not least, we have a speaker from the Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance. In fact, two speakers, Anna Vitolins and Beth Natali, are here to discuss the Low-Income Household Water Assistance Program and the Home Energy Assistance Program. Anna and Beth, take it away.
Thank you, Alex. Good afternoon, and thank you to DPS for inviting OTDA to participate in this valuable workshop. Again, my name is Anna Vitolins, and I'm here to talk about the Low-Income Household Water Assistance Program. Next slide. The Low-Income Household Water Assistance Program is a program designed to help people in New York State pay past due drinking water and sewer bills. Eligible households are not required to repay any portion of a LIWAP grant, and there are no liens placed on properties. When people call into our call center requesting information, they often ask what the catch is and are surprised to find out if they're eligible, there is none. Next slide. The program is funded by a federal block grant as part of the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2021 and the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. The grant is a one-time payment issued to states in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Currently, there's no additional funding. Our goal is to show that this program is a much-needed resource for our vulnerable households, and this funding will continue beyond the funding end date of September 30th of this year. Next slide. LIWAP is modeled closely after the Low-Income Household Energy Assistance Program, or LIHEAP, or HEAP as it's known in New York State. Eligibility and benefits are based on income, household size, if the household includes a U.S. citizen, a U.S. national, or a qualified alien. And the key qualifying eligibility factor for LIWAP is the amount owed on a water or sewer bill that's in the applicant's name, or that they can provide proof that they pay the vendor directly. On October 1st, these income limits went up by about 4%. So if you applied or know someone who applied before October 1st and they were very close to that income limit, please have them apply again. Benefits are paid directly to water vendors and are not issued to applicants. Applicants may be eligible for up to $2,500 in past due water bills, up to $2,500 for past due sewer bills, and up to $5,000 if they have combined water and sewer services. For the LIWAP program, a bill is considered in arrears or past due 20 days past the due date on the bill that's provided by the applicant. On October 21st, 2022, a new program year began, and households may be eligible for additional assistance even if they've already received a LIWAP benefit in the past. And also, if someone applied and received benefit, but they did not receive that full amount, they may reapply for additional bills up to that maximum cap of $2,500 for either water or sewer, or $5,000 for combined water and sewer service. Next slide. Applicants who already received HEAP, the Home Energy Assistance Program, NAP, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, Temporary Assistance, or TA, or if they receive Code A Supplemental Security Income, and that's SSI Living Alone, are categorically income eligible. for LIWAP. Similar to the HEAP program, these programs pre-qualify households income-wise if they contain a member that are already receiving one of these programs. Next slide. Applicants can apply for LIWAP at otda.ny.gov/programs/LIWAP. Unlike HEAP, LIWAP is administered at the state level and not through the counties. All the counties have information about LIWAP, but they are not processing applications. The easiest way is to apply through that LIWAP application portal at that link that is on the screen. Applicants will have to create an ny.gov ID, which you also have to create to apply for HEAP for My Benefits in order to submit an application. Any supporting documentation can be added right through the portal if you apply online, and applicants can then be notified electronically if additional documents are needed or when an application or when a decision is made on the application. You can find eligibility information and an overview of the program at otda.ny.gov. You can also find what documentation an applicant needs to apply, income guidelines, and frequently asked questions. You can also download and print a paper LIWAP application at that site. You can also fax an application to 518-486-1259, or you could also mail it to the mailing address on the screen. And if applicants do not have access to the internet, they may call our call center and request an application be mailed. And I'll give that number in a couple of screens. Next slide. There are over 3,000 water and sewer vendors in New York State, and the LIWAP Bureau has received vendor agreements from many of the largest of these providers. But we know we haven't captured all the vendors in New York State. If you discover that your water or sewer vendor is not participating, please encourage them to become a LIWAP vendor. You can let the LIWAP Bureau know, and our team will reach out to that vendor and work with them. Feel free to reach out to our vendor management team at nysliwap.vendor@otda.ny.gov if you have any vendor-related questions. Next slide. Up on the screen is that contact information. Again, for more information and where to apply, you can go to otda.ny.gov/programs/LIWAP. That LIWAP call center number is 833-690-0208. We have many representatives who are quite willing to answer any LIWAP-related questions you have. You can also email nysliwap@otda.ny.gov, and that fax number is on the screen as well. And again, these slides will be either were emailed to you or they will be emailed after the presentation. And that's it for the water program. I'm going to pass it on to Beth, who will discuss another Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance program, New York State HEAP.
Thank you, Anna. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Beth Natale from the New York State Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance, Home Energy Assistance Program, HEAP Bureau. Again, we want to thank DPS for hosting these workshops and providing this platform to all these agencies to come together and present on this important information. And today I will be providing you with an overview of the Home Energy Assistance Program. Next slide, please. The Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program is a federally funded energy assistance program intended to assist low-income households in meeting their immediate home energy needs. This year, we are able to offer the 5 benefits that you see on your screen. The regular component opened on November 1st, and the emergency component opened on January 3rd. And so far, we have distributed about 13,000 benefits to remedy emergencies. We are also operating the heating equipment repair and replacements benefit year-round, so households that are facing a no heat emergency due to inoperable or unsafe heating equipment can have their heating systems repaired or replaced no matter what time of the year it is. And then we also offer our clean and tune benefit year-round as well, so homeowners can keep their heating equipment operating at peak efficiency. And we will begin our cooling benefit on May 1st of this year. Next slide, please. So New York State elects to set income guidelines at the maximum allowable levels under the federal statute. Maximum income guidelines are set at 60% of state median income for households with 1 to 12 individuals and at 150% of the federal poverty level for households with 13 or more individuals. And these income guidelines have slightly increased from the 21-22 program year. Next slide, please. New York State did receive additional supplemental funding for the 22-23 program year, and households that received a benefit between program opening on November 1st and September 30th will receive a supplement through a system-generated supplement. Households that apply after September 30th will receive their benefit at the higher amount that you see on your screen. Households that heat with oil, kerosene, or propane will receive an extra $150. Households that heat with wood, pellets, coal, or corn will receive an additional $50. And households that heat with electric will receive an additional $100. HEAP supplements will appear as a credit on customer accounts for future deliveries or utility service. HEAP vendors that receive supplemental benefits for customers are not required to make a delivery or provide 30 days of prospective service. And I just want to note there have been no changes to the rent included amounts. And next slide, please. Thank you. OTDA provides flyers, brochures, and posters to promote HEAP benefits. These publications, as well as a list of other HEAP publications, are available for ordering through OTDA using the address that you see on your screen. Any outreach information you can provide on HEAP is always helpful, and we would love to provide you with some outreach materials to do so. So if someone would like to apply for any HEAP benefit, they can do so in the county where they reside. Currently, applicants may apply for the regular and emergency benefits, as well as hair and clean and tune. The application requirements for each benefit do vary, so applicants should contact the local social services office. The web address with contact information for each district is on your screen. And applications for regular benefits may be accepted online on My Benefits, which is www.mybenefits.ny.gov. This is only for the regular benefit component and only for applicants who do not live in New York City. Residents of New York City should visit Access NYC to screen for available benefits. Next slide, please. Okay, so that's the conclusion of OTDA's presentation on HEAP. We believe the benefits we're offering this year will help protect and assist New York's most vulnerable households in meeting their home energy needs. Our contact information is here on the screen for you. And we just want to thank you again for the opportunity for us to share our program with you today.
All right, thank you, Amy and Beth. This concludes the presentation portion of today's workshop. I want to thank all of today's presenters, Kim Lawrence from Homes and Community Renewal, Amy Liang from the New York Power Authority, Eric Gilbert and Jessica Ortiz from NYSERDA, Judy Coyne from the State Office for the Aging, Timothy Marsh, Jill Wasser, and Erin Odell Keller from the Department of Public Service, and Anna Vitolins and Beth Natali from the Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance for their presentations. As a reminder, the recording of today's workshop will be available on the Department of Public Service website and YouTube channel in a few days. All right, so as mentioned previously, we will start the question and answers section by addressing questions that came in through the chat. Once we do that, we'll open the floor for any additional questions folks out there may have. So I think a few questions came in through the chat. The first question was, will the PowerPoint be sent out after the presentation? I believe the answer to that one is yes, so long as you registered through WebEx and included an email address, we will forward to you the PowerPoint slides. Second question I see that came in through the chat was directed at NYSERDA. How does the application align with the weatherization program first discussed? Do the folks from NYSERDA and Homes and Community Renewal want to take that one?
Yeah, sure. This is Eric Gilbert from NYSERDA. I mean, in general, the applications ask similar questions. If you've already been approved, for example, for the weatherization program, you will need to complete a separate Empower New York application, just because each program has specific attestation language for the customer to agree to. But they're relatively similar in the types of questions that are asked.
Thank you. All right, looks like those are all the substantive questions. We have one more here. Is it two different programs and applications? I think this is a question again for HCR and NYSERDA.
Yes, so NYSERDA and HCR or WAP are two separate programs. You can work together through both programs to maximize your incentives, and that's what we encourage you to do.
Yeah, they are two separate programs. However, we have a network of providers across the state. We have 50 subgrant, excuse me, I'm sorry. We have 50 subgrantees that provide WAP across the state, and a good portion of them also are Empower contractors. So the programs do have some overlap. However, the WAP may do some measures in a home, and then Empower can also go in and do measures that the WAP funds did not cover. So they do try to coordinate and work together whenever possible.
Hi, this is Jessica from NYSERDA. You can also work through your regional clean energy advisor to assist you in applying for the WAP program and the assisted home performance or Empower programs. And through your energy advisor, they can help you maintain the consistency in applications.
All right, thanks everyone for answering that question. We have another question in the chat. How do we become listed as a vendor on the low-income household water assistance program? We would like to provide LIWAP information to our village water and sewer clients that are in need. This one's for OTDA.
Hi, you can email NYSLIHWAP, New York State LIWAP.vendor@otda.ny.gov. Or if you go to the otda.ny.gov website and then click through the programs and select LIWAP, on the left-hand side, there's a whole vendor section and all the information is right there. I believe my contact information may be in some of, or at least my name, anna.vitolins@otda.ny.gov. You can email and I will definitely make sure that our vendor team gets the information. And then I'll also take your information down from the chat to have our vendor team reach out to you directly. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Anna. All right, so we'll now open it up to additional questions. If you wish to speak, please raise your hand. If you're on the WebEx, just click on the small raise hand icon. And for those who join by phone, press *3 to raise your hand, and we will unmute you to ask your question. Again, if you're on the WebEx, press the small raised hand icon to let us know you have a question, or if you're on the phone, press *3 to let us know you have a question. All right, so we have one question in the chat, which I'll address first. This is for the Department of Public Service. How do constituents know, how do constituents apply for the Phase 2 Utility Arrears Relief Program funding? Someone like to explain that?
So they don't need to apply for the low-income program for Phase 2 specifically, but they do need to apply for EAP programs if they're low income. So just to clarify, there is no application process for Phase 2. It's a one-time credit.
All right, any other questions for our presenters today? Remember, press the small hand icon on the WebEx or *3 on the phone. All right, looks like we have a follow-up about the UARP program. How is the credit amount calculated?
So the calculation, this is Craig Carroll from the Department of Public Service. So the calculation is a pretty in-depth process that it may be better off if we can provide that on an offline discussion.
All right, we have a question with a raised hand. So can we unmute the question?
Yeah.
Asker?
Yes.
Lynn, you're unmuted.
Bill with Central Hudson, an arrears bill that's I'm trying to figure out how to pay. So what's the first steps with that? I'm I'm on the borderline of the heat level. Just to give you an income idea.
So are you asking about how the relief program would apply to that bill?
Yeah, I mean, I've never gotten heat before. I'm on the borderline. I'm gonna probably apply for it, see if I qualify this year, but I do have a big arrears. And you said phase 2. Is there a phase 1 that we missed?
Who wants to take that one?
Yeah, I'll take that. This is Craig again. So the phase 1 that was approved by the commission back in June last year, that program was designed to address low-income arrears at the time, and that program did have a ending date of December 31st this year, last year, 2022. Phase 2 addresses arrears for non-low income customers and small commercial customers that is going to happen in the next upcoming months. So the credit is applied to the customer's bill as a one-time credit. There's no application process for it. There's nothing the customer needs to do. It'll show up on the bill, and it'll be an up to credit amount designed to reduce arrears by some amount determined through the calculation I discussed earlier. So that one-time credit will just show up on your bill as soon when
So it applies to anybody who has a big arrears,
It's got to be arrears accrued up through May 1st, 2022. So those are the eligible arrears.
Most of them are held. Okay.
Right.
From last year, and just a different class of people. Great. Thank you.
Yep.
And that's supposed to happen in the next 2 months, 2 months from now?
The commission just approved that last week at their January session. So there will be, I know utilities are starting to put it into their systems, and hopefully within a month or two, credit should be starting to pop in customer bills.
Much appreciated. Thank you.
We have another raised hand. John Rath, I've unmuted you.
Thank you. Can you tell me the best place to find out what median incomes apply to different parts of the state?
So John,
I can take that one. This is Anna Vitoland. For HEAP and for LIWAP, it is a federally administered, it's given to us by the federal government. So it is for all of New York State. It's one state median income for all of New York State. And that can be found on the Health and Human Services website. I think if you Google, New York State median income and then just try to find the Health and Human Services one, you'll be able to figure it out from there. But it is one median income for all of New York State.
Thanks.
This is Eric from NYSERDA. For Empower New York, we typically follow the HEAP guidelines as well. For assisted home performance, At the end of our presentation, there's a link to the Assisted Home Performance website. And in there, you can indicate what county you live in and how many are in your household, and that will surface the income levels.
Thank you.
All right, there's another question in chat. I'm going to read it for the benefit of people on the telephone. This is a question for the Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance about the HEAP program. In December 2022, a constituent reached out who was eligible for HEAP and had received it before in the form of wood for his wood-burning stove that heats his home. The vendor told the constituent he could not afford to get wood shipped to his location, so he was unable to provide wood when the constituent reached out. As far as you are all aware, is wood being provided for HEAP eligible constituents at this time?
Hi, this is Beth from New York State HEAP. In general, the answer is that if the vendor cannot provide the wood, the vendor can return the benefit and it can be reissued to a vendor that can. In the chat, I did ask Nicholas if he could email me some more information so we can look into that a little bit more.
Thank you, Beth.
And just to add on to that, this is Anna. If the constituent is in an emergency situation and that benefit is not back, the constituent can apply for an emergency benefit with a new vendor in order to make sure that that household has heat.
All right, we have one more question I see about how the utility arrears relief program amounts are calculated, how the credit is calculated. Because this is a little more of a technical question, we ask that you email the Department of Public Service. You can email us at consumer.outreach@dps.ny.gov. Again, consumer.outreach@dps.ny.gov. And we will forward the inquiry to the proper channel so they can get back to you on the credit calculation. All right, any folks who have asked the question already, please lower your hand so we know that you don't have an additional question. Just hit that little icon again or *3 if you're connected on the telephone. All right, we have a few more minutes left, so if you have any other questions, now is the time to pose them to the panelist. Okay, we have one more question coming in on the chat. Does New York Connects assist with senior housing or enrollment in senior centers?
Hi, this is Judy from New York State Office for the Aging. And New York Connects does inform callers of where their senior centers are, whether or not there's information on how they can contact the closest senior center, and if there's transportation available, an assessment would be done about over the phone, just a little bit of an assessment, but it's information and assistance. So if there are questions about programs or services, New York Connects can quickly refer individuals to that. And the second part of that question was, repeat that?
Senior housing or enrollment in senior centers?
Senior housing, yes. New York Connects does have lists of senior housing and where they are located, and that's the information that we provide.
All right, thank you, Judy.
Thank you.
We'll leave the we'll keep going with questions for another minute or so. So if you have any more questions you'd like to pose to our panelists, please raise your hand, press the raise hand icon, or press *3 on your phone.
Alex, we have another question in chat. Oh, no, I think it's the same question. My apologies.
All right, everyone, last call for questions for today's panelist. All right, I'm not seeing any more questions, so we will end a few minutes early today. On behalf of the agencies who presented today, I would like to thank you for attending today's Winter Assistance Workshop. As we stated before, the slides and recordings will be posted to the Department of Public Service website at www.dps.ny.gov/winter in the next few days. If you did not receive a copy of the slides prior to the event today, a copy will be sent to you, to everyone who joined through the WebEx and offered an email address to us. If you joined by phone and would like a copy of the slides, you can contact us at consumer.outreach@dps.ny.gov. Again, consumer.outreach@dps.ny.gov, and we will send you a copy by email. Finally, want to thank all the panelists today again. I'm sure everyone out there, the panelists would love to hear from you if you have further questions. So please contact all our panelists and ask them all your questions offline. And I want to wish you a safe, happy, and warm winter. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you.